What's up, everyone? Welcome back to our draft coverage. Joining me now is the number 5 pick. I told him he was spoiled last year because he came in and had the number 1 pick, and now there's lots of guys off the board. Omari Sankofa II, joining me from Detroit. How's it going today?
Going all right. I just feel like it's peak off season right now. So a lot of draft talk. Don't have number 1 pick, so this isn't as fun as it was last year. And I just kind of pick whoever I wanted, but it'll still be cool. It'll still be fun. We'll see who's there.
I mean, it worked out for Detroit though. Like Cade had a good season. That's a good start to kind of the rebuild. However, the number 5 pick is not horrible. This draft was very much so like 3 top guys can go kind of like any direction really, and then 4, 5, 6, 7 could all kind of just be like
all pretty similar.
Yeah, and they're like it could be like whether this guy fits or whether you think it's the best talent, or I'm going to say even someone like Sharpe, it's like, do you take the risk or do you stay with someone who's a little more proven? And we'll get into that. So let's talk about Detroit. Cade Cunningham, obviously we just talked about that, number 1 last year. You've got pieces that could start to work together. They just need some other little glue pieces put in here and there. And I think this number 5 pick could help do that. What are the holes? Like, what does Detroit not do well that they want to do well with someone coming in that number 5 pick?
I think the Pistons, well, for one, just getting Cade last year, that's the lottery. If you have to pick between this year and last year, that's when you want to win. I mean, Cade, he was like 3rd in Rookie of the Year voting, set a lot of rookie records for the Pistons. Probably pretty obviously their best rookie since Brad Hill, which is good company to be in. So I think they're probably still in that best player available mindset where you would just want to feel good that the player you pick, by the time it's time to extend them 3 years from now, or maybe 4 years if you bring them into restricted free agency, that they're going to be a guy that you can build around, whether that player is a star or whatever else. You just want to feel good about them being an above average basketball player. So I think that's how they're approaching this. They do have some needs. If you trade Jeremy Grant, you'll need a power forward, or if you like right now, they sort of have a weakness in their backcourt as far as finding the perfect running mate next to Cade Cunningham. And they're in a good position at 5 because you have a guy in Sharpe, who you mentioned, who could become that wing guy you paired with Cade, or maybe you go with Keegan Murray, who could be the power forward and replaces Jeremy Grant. And then you have Benedict Mathurin. You have a few guys you can kind of see in a core piece for the team here. So for them, it's just best player available. I don't know if they would fill the positional fit, but just get a guy that would be a good player.
And you mentioned there's talk around possibly Jeremy Grant, kind of the time in Detroit being done, and then moving forward with, again, someone like Keegan Murray, who we'll talk about in a minute. I am just letting people know watching this, I was like, no trades, no packages, you're sticking with it. So I am forcing Omari right now to pick number 5. Whether or not that happens, we don't know quite yet. So, okay, let's get into the 2 guys that you just talked about right there. That was Shaedon Sharpe from Kentucky. The thing about him is he has not played since high school. He was at Kentucky last season, did not play. So I think it's like a high risk, possibly high reward thing. He's being compared to Zach LaVine, which is, I mean, if I could take someone who I thought played like Zach LaVine, I'd take them. What do you think are the hiccups with him? And do you think he fits possibly what Detroit needs?
I think he does fit what Detroit needs, just as a super athletic 6'6" guy with a lot of upside. It's tough because he hasn't played any college games, so it's tough to see how he handles that level of competition, college competition, let alone NBA, which of course is a much bigger jump. And there's a lot of comparisons for guys like him that didn't really play a lot of college basketball. Like maybe there's guys like Darius Garland or Kyrie Irving who got injured, so maybe only play like 8 or 9 games, but you can still see how good they are from those 8 or 9 games. And I know Kyrie was a 5-star guy. I'm pretty sure Darius Garland was too. So maybe that's similar in a sense, but I think Shaedon Sharpe is much more of an unknown, and for him, it'll just be a lot of interviews, team workouts. I think that'll pretty much decide where he goes. Right now, he seems pretty firmly top 10, but that could, of course, change as we get closer to the draft, and maybe he could become more in that top 5 range. But for Detroit, I mean, he shot the ball pretty well. He's a great athlete. He's got great size for a wing. If you're looking for a guy, I mean, like I've heard different comparisons, like maybe best case for him is like a Bradley Beal, but uh, guys with his
Let's
skill
take a
set.
Bradley Beal.
Yeah, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with Bradley Beal, obviously, and that's like the best case. But those are the comparisons you hear, and it just speaks to how talented he is. And if you're Detroit and you're willing to be patient and develop them, let them figure it out, they could pay off pretty big for you down the road. So I think he definitely fits what they're looking for, and I think he's in the mix at number 5.
All right. And I don't want your number 5 pick yet, but Keegan Murray was the other player that you talked about. It's another 6'8" guy who is proven in college. He was the leading scorer for the Big Ten. He shoots like 40%, almost-ish, 40% from the three-point line. But again, that came in talks of like, obviously, if you bring him in, him and Jeremy Grant don't play together. That would be a separation type thing. And I'll allow you to talk about it for now. Is it time to move past Jeremy Grant, and is Keegan Murray the guy who could come in and fill those minutes in that spot?
Yeah, so I think Jeremy Grant, it really just comes down to the offer that they get. If the Pistons don't get the offer that kind of moves the needle as far as just the right young guy or the right pick, he'll probably be back next season regardless. But if you take Keegan Murray, then yeah, maybe that makes you feel better about moving on from Jeremy Grant. But there's a lot to like about Keegan. I mean, you mentioned he was the leading scorer in the Big Ten, shot 40% from three. He's really good inside, like 6'8". Just super productive. Like I think he shot like 55% overall from the field. He rebounded really well. He averaged 2 shots a game, blocked 2 shots a game. He's a little bit older than the other prospects. Like I think he'll be 22 when his rookie season starts, but he's also a late bloomer. He really last season was his first truly great season in college basketball. And he wasn't like a super like highly recruited 5-star guy like some of the other people who are going to go in the top 5 or top 6. So you look at guys like Desmond Bane, even, Grizzlies fans know pretty well. Very productive college player. I think he went 29th or 30th because people had concerns about his age. But if you can play basketball, you can play basketball. And I think the thing about Keegan is, as much as people like those kind of home run swings and athletic young guys, a lot of times the Keegan Murrays are the guys who end up having better careers than most lottery picks. So, I think the Pistons would be very happy if he were there at number 5.
Yeah, age is age. Hooper's hoop. We know the deal. We have a bunch of 4-year guys who play on the Grizzlies right now.
Brandon Clark.
It's almost like you covered this team before.
It's almost like I covered him.
Okay, Omari, I'm putting you on the clock for our mock draft. You are picking for the Detroit Pistons. And I don't want you to think that like you can only pick those 2 guys we talked about. If you have someone from left field that we didn't even mention, it's on you. Let's go. Number 5. Who are you drafting?
Well, it's tough because Sharpe is a great Canadian basketball player. Bennett Mathurin is also Canadian, and you also being a Canadian, I know you love your Canadian basketball players. I'm going to go for non-Canadian. Unfortunately, I'm going to go with Keegan Murray.
All right.
But I think the Pistons are big fans of him, and I think just compared to a guy like Sharpe, where there's a chance he just doesn't pan out the way you want him to. Pistons are about to be in year 3 of this rebuild. Cade Cunningham is in year 2. And to just get a guy at number 5 that, may not have the upside of like a Chet Holmgren or, Jabari Smith, you're not picking top 3 or top 5. So you want a guy that you feel pretty good about. Keegan Murray checks all of those boxes. He's just a really smart basketball player, plays the right way, extremely productive as a scorer. And even defensively, I think he has some upside as well. He's just a very safe pick, but the fact that he's a late bloomer maybe makes you feel better about him not having a high floor, but maybe a higher ceiling than people may be good for as well. So Pistons at number 5 with those guys on the board. I'm going to go with Keegan Murray.
All right. I think people are saying like, oh, that's a safe pick. Like if you don't risk it, you don't get the biscuit or whatever that saying is. But like it's a safe pick because he fills up the box score. Like he had multiple 30-point games. He, like you said, like blocks, rebounds, steals. Like he's really good. And so I think that is a really good pick. I'm sorry that you're not number 1. Number 5 is still pretty great. So I appreciate your time so very much. And I hope you had fun.
Oh, it was fun. Like I said, top 5. Like last year was cool because I just come in as number 1 and say, oh yeah, no Cade. We need to discuss it. But no, it's more fun because now there's a lot of options and things to actually talk about as far as their strategy. So always a great time, Kelcey. Thank you for having me on.
Good. All right. And then everyone at home, you know that we are right back here tomorrow. So stay locked in.